back to the channel. Today I have with me my friend Katherine from Katherine's Fairies Tales on Instagram. You should go give her a follow. She's pretty cool.
Officially.
Officially cool. And today we're going to talk about the Bridgerton series, specifically Francesca's season in Season 5, because we're excited about it, and there's a little bit of drama going on in regards to this. So we have our tea while we talk about the tea. And yeah, it's just going to be kind of a chatty video. So I know that you haven't seen much of the drama and you don't really want to.
I just haven't read it because I don't really care. But, you know, I know that there's discourse.
There's discourse. I'm going to give everyone, maybe if people haven't seen it like you, I'll do a brief little what's going on and maybe why people are upset. And then if you want to see more, I encourage you to go find that on your own. And if you want to believe the best in the world, then just
be
stay
like me.
here. Yeah. So, Francesca Bridgerton, let's talk about her story. You haven't read her book yet, but it is a second chance romance. It's a romance that deals with like loss of love at an early age and growing through that. Also, I guess this is your spoiler warning. If you have no idea, maybe just like put this video on mute and let it continue to play. Do me a solid. But yeah, we also have Francesca dealing with fertility issues and trying to figure out what she wants in the world. And she was honestly one of my favorite books because it's so different than all of the other Bridgerton books. And honestly, just like when I was reading this back in, I think, 2021, it was different than any even romance I had read before. So I just have a lot of fond memories of that. And why are people mad? People are mad because in the cinematic universe of Bridgerton, the Shondaland of Bridgerton, Francesca's character for her second chance romance is not Michael, but Michaela.
And it's still the same, right? Like, Michael in the books is John's cousin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Michael is John's cousin. Michaela is John's cousin. They are, the character, from what we've seen so far, seems very true to the narrative, with just the fact that instead of a man, it's a woman.
Yeah.
And as you and viewers can probably put together, there are a lot of people that are upset that instead of a man, it's a woman. And we can talk about some of the reasons why I don't think that's an issue, and I feel like you'll probably agree with me. But I wanted to check my own biases at the door. And talk with Katherine because she has a different perspective than I do.
Registered lesbian.
Woo! That was really weird. I'm so sorry. I'm excited that you Oh God, I'm gonna go. But she has a different view than me, and I think that it's good to like open conversation and hear about different views than maybe what you've experienced yourself. But I want to start with I think there's also like a subset of people who say that they're not upset that Michael is now Michaela, and they are using secondary reasons to be upset. And I would even go so far as to argue as that, though I hope that you know I'm not upset that Michael is Michaela, there were two secondary reasons that like did make me kind of sad about where the TV series was. And the first one is that people are saying she's not having time to grieve John.
Yeah.
Well, they've already addressed this, and Season 5 is taking place 2 years after John's death.
See, and I don't know how it is in the books. Like, how long is it after John dies that her book happens?
I want to say it's like 2 or 3 years.
So it's consistent with the books.
Yeah.
Maybe people just aren't expecting that because kind of the way that Bridgerton is laid out, it's like every season is the next Bridgerton kid. So basically we're like skipping a whole year in here.
Exactly. I think that's a great point. Yeah. And because in the books, we really don't see her relationship with John.
Yeah.
Except for like the very end of it. So we see how happy she is and how in love she is, and we kind of like hear about it in other character stories, but her book is her love story with Michael.
Yeah, so we basically start from the point of like post John's death at that point.
Yeah.
So I think they've already set it up differently in the series by like having her be with John for like a full season before something happens.
They're together for a couple years in the books.
Yeah. But, which is, I think, consistent with the show because they like got together during, I guess, what's Colin's season, which would have been which is season 3, and then now it's Benedict's season, which is at least a year, and they've obviously like been spending that whole time at the estate and stuff. So, and
I feel like she got married pretty early in Colin's season, which also tracks with the books.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so I mean, they've had at least a year or 2 before John passes.
Yeah.
Which is probably consistent. And then there's 2, so basically as long as she was with John is then the gap between when she starts the romance with Michaela.
Not that there is a lot of time.
No, grieving. Of course not. But if people are
angry
upset that it's too fast to be getting over the grief or whatever, like,
but that's
it is amount of time.
That is also a reason that maybe you shouldn't be upset about the time because everyone grieves differently at different parts in their life. And I think we'll see it in the series, but in the books, she isn't necessarily done grieving John when her love story starts.
Yeah.
She's very much still suffering from this loss. But as we saw in season 4 with do you know the actress's name? But she, I think, just like absolutely knocked grief out of the park. And the scene between her and Violet, where Violet is doing everything she can, because in Violet's mind, like, she's suffered a similar loss. And in a way that's true.
Yeah. I mean, she did lose her husband.
And she lost him early.
Right. Early and, like, relatively early, like, when she was still young.
Yeah. When it would have been, like, acceptable.
Yeah.
For her to, like, kind of almost immediately get back on.
Right, she could have gotten remarried and chose not to.
Hannah Dodd. Thank you. Hannah Dodd is the actress's name. But, like, she doesn't have kids.
Yeah. And I think that's, having not read the books, or all of the books, I think that's something that might be interesting that they're doing with the show. I don't know how it will show up in, like, Francesca and Michaela's season, but I've heard that and you've said that she was dealing with infertility issues in the books, and that's, like, a conversation that they've already started having, like, during her relationship with John on the show. Yeah. Is, like, she's dealing with that, and that's kind of what she's, like, dealing with her grief about John. It's, like, in that conversation with Violet, she's like, well, but you have 8 children from your husband, and I didn't even get, like, one kid with John.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that is probably one of the other big things that people are upset about, because, to be fair, when I was reading the book, I didn't even think of her experience as a fertility issue. I just thought, they're young, they haven't had kids yet, and she wants kids, and that's something that's fine.
Yeah.
And that might have just been me also being, like, a young reader. But I think if you're upset about, and it's just, like, the general you, about the lack of, like, fertility story, I would argue that the TV show is actually doing a much better job at, like, expressing this.
Yeah, well, because if in the book it's, like, meant to be her and Michael that she's experiencing this fertility issue with, like, now she's saying, I also, like, I had this problem with John.
Yes.
And that doesn't mean that in the TV show they couldn't work that in, because, let's be real, if she's with Michaela, that's also a different kind of fertility issue. She wants kids.
Yes.
Especially if we stick with, like, Regency ideas of how
what
you
it
have
means
children.
to be a family. Yeah. But lesbian relationships and gay relationships also suffer from infertility.
Yeah.
Not just, I mean, yes, the additional step of
having to have someone outside, but
yes,
you can still, like, individually as a person have fertility
suffer those issues.
Yeah. And that's, like, another level they could add to Francesca.
Which would reach a wider audience, which is arguably the best possible scenario. More people being represented.
Yeah.
And then I think one of the other issues that maybe people are upset with, and this is something that, like, we've already talked about a little bit, but, like, her storyline with John and her maybe not being bi or not being straight. So I know for me, the longest time, I was really a champion of wanting Francesca's story to be a bi story.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think we've already had a bi story with Benedict.
Yep.
And I think that's... Oh.
Thanks, Hardy.
When you're bi and you're in a relationship and you, like, the person that you fall in love with makes the relationship seem straight to the outward world.
Called straight passing.
Yes. I think that's its own story, and I like that we have that, and I love that, like, open and honest moment with Benedict and Sophie. But I was just really excited to see a bi storyline where it's like, oh, we see her fully in love with the man.
Yeah.
And fully in love with a woman. And so I was kind of, like, mourning that. And, like, I think when this first was announced, like, 2 years ago at this point now,
that Michaela... I think Michaela came on at, like, the end of... Well, I guess it was the end of season 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everyone was in an uproar then.
Yeah.
And I was, like, very adamant. I'm like, it doesn't matter. The thing that, like, made me sad in that initial announcement was I was worried that they were going to make it seem like John kind of, like, not that he didn't mean anything to her.
Right.
But, like, they, like, touched hands, her and Michaela, and it was like nothing else mattered.
Yeah.
And I think that's great, but I was kind of sad because I'm like, but John was her first love in the books. Mm-hmm. But then as the seasons go on, like, you see how much she loves John.
Yeah. And
that becomes less of an issue, at least for me.
That's why I get that people are worried about, like, bi erasure in her story, but I think the way they've set it up on the show is, like, she had a first love and first marriage with a man, and then she's going to have a second love and I assume second marriage with a woman. So, it's still consistent.
It's still consistent.
Yeah.
And I think it's really relevant, and this is where I think you'll probably have more thoughts than I will, of maybe before you even realize that you're interested in women, that, like, you might have significant, meaningful relationships with someone of the opposite sex.
Yeah.
And I think even if you're like, no, I'm not bi, I am, like, 100% a lesbian, like, I don't think it should deteriorate or, like, take away from those significant relationships if they mean something to you. And that's just something that I've never experienced before.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how it's going to work out with Francesca. Like, they could go either way and say, like, oh, turns out I'm a lesbian. And John was great because he was an intellectual match and we loved each other, like, not necessarily romantically, but, like, as life partners. Or they can work it out like, hey, I'm bisexual and I'm also interested in women, I just didn't realize.
Yeah.
And I've had a relationship with a man and now I have a relationship with a woman. Could go either way.
And both are great.
Yeah. So yeah, I wouldn't worry that it's necessarily like we're getting rid of Francesca as the like another by Bridgerton. Because we do have Benedict.
We do have Benedict. We still have a bi king.
I think the other thing that you and I haven't necessarily talked about yet, and it is like some discourse that I have seen, is people being worried, that because Francesca's now going to have like the sapphic storyline, because people were hoping they would do that with Eloise.
Yeah.
And they're probably not going to do that now. But I have the opinion that I have seen also on Bookstagram too, of that might have been problematic in its own way. And so maybe it's fine that you don't get that with Eloise, because we don't need Eloise to be gay.
That's very fair. And if we think about it, we've already been introduced to the person in the books that she marries. Mm-hmm. And that person has already been introduced as a man. Not to say that that could change, but I think they are doing their best to, like, keep the source material and be inspired by it, while also being true to, like, in the lens of 2026, like, how can we, like, it's all creative, it's all made up.
Yeah.
Julia Quinn is from America. She's not even British, and she's made this wonderful world. So why can't we also have this world where we have different races and different sexualities?
Well, so I'm like, because you said at the beginning of the video, the Bridgerton Cinematic Universe, and I'm like, yes, because it's an entirely different world based off of the book series, but much wider, I think, than the book series is.
Yes.
Because I, like, read the first book after watching, I think, the first 2 seasons of the show. I was like, maybe I'll get into the book series. And I was like, oh, this is very different.
Yes.
Like, I love the show for what it is, and the books are and it's different. Well, they've already gone beyond it.
They've gone beyond it. Like, we wouldn't have the Queen Charlotte book without Shondaland. I think that inspired Julia Quinn.
Yeah.
And kind of to your point, and I saw a different creator, I don't remember who, but point out that if being faithful to the books was such a big issue, like, that was out the window in season 1.
Yeah.
Like, things were already different.
I'm pretty sure they've changed a lot from that, too, because, like, I mean, we've already revealed Penelope as Lady Whistledown. Mm-hmm. Spoiler, sorry. But I feel like that comes later in the books from what I've read.
Yeah,
like,
we don't find out until her book that she is Lady Whistledown.
So, I mean, they've already changed things in the show in order to make the show work and be engaging. And
capture the audience.
Yeah, because there's a lot more, even side plots in the series that just aren't in the books. Because the books are meant to be, like, one couple per book.
Yes.
The show is, like, ongoing storylines of all those people.
And we get more, like, side characters, like you were saying, that have maybe their own romances, or maybe not even romances, maybe just, like, their own things.
No, I've got the side plot with the couple that's, like, become, what is their names?
Oh, the Mondricks?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like,
they don't exist.
Royals, or they become, like,
nobility.
Yeah. And they're, like,
they're not in the books.
Yeah. Now she's, like, a lady's maid or whatever. Like, that's an additional storyline.
We get that, and that's, like, an additional romantic storyline. In a not romantic storyline, the, like, head footman, or I think he's the footman. I don't even know the character's name, but he's reoccurrent. Like, when Eloise a couple seasons ago was trying to figure out who Whistledown was, and she goes to make those pamphlets, we see the same footman, and he's like, I don't know if we should be doing this. And then in this season, he's all, like, buddies with Benedict, as I feel like they probably were in that time. John?
Something like that.
That seems like a generic footman name.
Yeah.
I agree.
Something like that. But yeah, so we've added people already. We've changed people already.
Which is good.
There's no reason we can't.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't know if even, like, Eloise and Francesca is necessarily going to be exactly the same characters as they were in the books. But I think that I feel like part of the reason that, like, people are up in arms is because we didn't know if it was going to be Francesca's or Eloise's.
Yes.
And everybody who wanted it to be Eloise's is just disappointed anyway.
Yes.
Because you have to wait.
Another, like, knock against, it's not even knock against right, but it's just people being upset because the character they wanted isn't the one they got.
Yeah.
A different creator I saw pointed out that, unfortunately, Francesca season was going to be controversial no matter what. And so Bridgerton is renewed for season 5 and season 6.
Mm-hmm.
So they made the smart financial decision to have the controversial season happen first of the 2 that they have renewed, because at the end of the day, if you are so upset by this, you don't have to watch it. And Shondaland knows that, Netflix knows it. I think they're expecting a dip in viewership, which is honestly a shame. But with how excited people are for Eloise, and there's like a year between these are released, people, they're going to forget.
Yeah.
Our attention spans so short these days.
Well, they're going to see the trailer for Eloise and come back.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that it was 5 and 6, so that means with the Netflix death after 2 seasons that always happens, they're trying to avoid it.
They're trying to avoid it, and I think they're projecting Eloise's season to be so big because she's gotten such a following after 4 years.
Well, they can't just, give you her season because then everybody's going to stop anyway.
Exactly. So if they get that bump again for her season, they're trying to make sure that they get renewed through season 8 and can complete the series.
Then that'll be the whole series.
Yeah. I think that's smart. And I'm like, yes, do it. I want to see Hyacinth and Gregory. I love Hyacinth's story.
Well, and they're building her up now slowly because she was barely in the first couple seasons because they had 8 seasons to then develop it. So
she shouldn't have been in the first season.
It's now 4 that they're like, oh, she's going to be a character and have a little mini ball, and then
which I thought was
more.
So sweet.
Also to Charlie XCX at 36, though. That was so funny.
The little, hop dance that they did. We were definitely, around the house.
Oh, there's been, so many memes of people, doing the little hop dance around.
And we're not good at it. Matt and I don't know what we're doing, but we would not have passed the dance lesson. They'd be like...
Well, you'd have gotten the dance lesson, which is more than any of us have had, so...
True.
Yeah.
True.
But yeah, so they're building Hyacinth up. It's going to take a while. They've built Eloise up. They're not going to take that away.
Yeah, they've built Gregory up, and he's an interesting character now. Yeah. And it's the same thing in the books. They're barely mentioned in the first books because they're children.
Well, and it's also, not relevant to the... If your book, a romance book, it's 95% focused on the romantic pairing that's in the book. The Bridgerton show, I would argue, is not, Benedict's season is only 50% Benedict and Sophie.
Yeah. Again, if you are upset because it's not following the book,
it's already not. They also made Benedict bi. I'm pretty sure he's not bi in the books.
Nope.
So.
And we love that for him. I think with such a strong outpour of love that we've seen for gay romances, Heated Rivalry took off.
Yes.
And I think it would be beautiful, and I think it would be great, and I think it should happen. I don't think it will, but I think we should have that same amount of love for a sapphic romance.
And potentially that's what Shonda is. Potentially that's what Shonda is thinking about doing, because they have that stability of it's a Shondaland show. It's gonna be okay. That they can then, and building off of the build up for Heated Rivalry, then to have a sapphic romance drop the next TV season. Yeah. But that is a soapbox that I will try not to go on. Of if we can have all of these gay men shows, can we just have one sapphic?
Can we not have one?
Just one. Just one mainstream. Because I was thinking about the sapphic Regency shows that I've watched, and I have watched a couple shows and movies, but they're not the most popular mainstream shows and movies that everyone's heard about. Versus we have had that for several years with Red, White, and Royal Blue.
Yes.
Now Heated Rivalry. We've had those MLM things. This is the first sapphic one that's going to be hopefully
big.
The #1 show on Netflix for a hot minute or something.
And that should be celebrated.
And I'm hoping that's what Shondaland is setting it up for. Even if there's this annoying backlash.
Yeah.
It's gonna be on your screen, and I'm hoping they're gonna, do all of the ads and prequels and, the show appearances and stuff that they did for all the other seasons.
And I think they will, just based on how they're already treating it. Like, that was a beautiful promo.
Yeah.
It was perfect. I loved, like, slightly matching outfits with the colors. I think it was really well done. And if we're already getting that, I would be shocked if we didn't get the same amount of attention.
Right.
And I think we've also, I'm saying we, like, I'm part of Shondaland. I think Shondaland, and maybe Netflix has learned from Kate and Anthony's season of, like, what's her name? Simone?
Yeah. The actress, Simone Ashley.
Simone Ashley, beautiful woman. I heard that, like, when they were doing promo for her, like, there were brands that are like, oh, you're the lead, but, like, we don't need you to be in our commercial. Mm. And I think there was backlash with that. And hopefully, I mean, that sucks for her because she deserves to have that.
Yeah.
She's also doing just fine. So I'm hoping that brands have learned from that and they're still going to be like, yes, we want Francesca, we want Michaela, we want
to do those interviews and things and etc.
So
I mean, they've already like broken the mold on Bridgerton with every season except for the first one. I mean, the first, well, I mean, even then it was still like a mixed race romance, but the female lead of season 1 was like a white woman. Mm-hmm. Since then, we had Kate and Anthony's season, which is another mixed race, but yeah, Simone is
I'd say
like
the only
South
like
Asian.
Following the mold is Penelope and Colin.
Yeah,
and those actors were chosen. That's not good grammar. Those actors were selected in season 1.
Yeah,
and so like you're not gonna change the actors.
Yeah. Well, and even then, I've seen some discourse about, I mean, because they're considering like Penelope to be like quote unquote plus size, which is not true. I know
that's very
it's
true.
It's fucking stupid, but that was that was the representation that they had on that season. So they've had one, like they've had some sort of diverse
plus
representation
size,
on every season with minimal problems.
She's beautiful.
It's stupid. It's stupid. She's literally like the epitome of like Regency body
beauty
images. Like,
she is the standard.
Yeah. But not in 2026 on Netflix.
Not in 2026 on Netflix. It's fun.
But so, you know, like they've done like I'm a Shonda fan. Mm-hmm. I watched Grey's Anatomy back in the day. This is what she does. Is like gets it to be popular with something else and then can work in all this magic.
Yes.
As part of it. And they started from the beginning being like, this is race blind casting. So you knew that was what they were going to do.
The people they hire are the best actors and actresses for the job.
Yeah.
And we've gotten amazing acting because of it.
Yeah. Well, and they're doing like basically like blind casting of, the best person for the role, irrespective of it. And then they work everything around that.
Yes.
Because I know for this season, like, the actress, I think it's the actress that played the evil stepmom, was like, we're also going to have, like, the same for the 2 daughters and Sophie. Like, it's all going to be consistently the same ethnicity.
Yes.
Which they could have not done. And I think Simone did the same thing for her season.
I believe so.
Yeah. Suggest that Edwina and the mom also be South Asian so that it would make sense. I mean, it needs to make sense.
It's gonna make sense while also having the best cast.
Yeah.
And they've had some really big names, like stacked cast.
I mean, Anthony is like very famous for like Jurassic Park or whatever. Like, he was like GQ Man of the Year or whatever.
I would almost argue though, and you know, someone correct me if I'm wrong, that like maybe his big TV movie break was because of Bridgerton.
No,
I don't remember him in anything else before that.
No, he exploded after that. So I don't know if it just like Bridgerton
people saw
happened
his butt on season 1 and they were like, this man.
Apparently people like his butt. I'm sorry. Resident lesbian over here. But whatever.
But
like if that's what you're like, you know, if it's either how you're starting your career or they get a big name person who's the best for the role.
Yeah.
And none of these people are, like, huge. So.
No, but, like, you can, like, watch things, and Penelope's mom, she played in that, like, the miniseries Rome, and I just remember, like, watching Rome and going, that's Penelope's mom!
Yeah, right.
So, like, you'll recognize people
yeah.
in their other things after this, even if those things happened before.
Well, and then those things get more, like, they rise in fame because those things get more notoriety because people recognize them.
And they want to watch other things that
yeah.
a certain actor or actress has been in. I think the only, like, two things that I still want to talk about, and if you have anything else, but, like, one last thing is I've seen people be like, how is this going to work? Because Michael inherits and, like, XYZ and Michaela's a woman. I believe in Scotland, women can inherit. So this is a non-issue.
I think they've made it a non-issue.
Yeah.
I mean, I would assume they made it a non-issue in the show, either that way or by having, like, John bequeath it to her or something. Like,
I want to say I saw somewhere that, like, in Scotland, just women could inherit.
Okay. Is it Scotland in the books, or have we changed that in order to make that work in Shondaland?
I do believe that it is Scotland still.
Well, so then they just, like, conveniently, and maybe that was something they thought about, or maybe it's not. Could be. They set it up that way on purpose.
And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because we're excited for what we're doing.
Yeah.
And then, like, I just wanted to, like, hear from you and how you think this will help the community and, like, how scene representation, because we did have a similar upbringing in, like, both being Catholic and, like, having, like, that religious and not having access to
queer media.
Yes. Which, I won't speak for you and your family. At least for me, my parents, I don't think would have minded. They just also didn't have access to it, so they were unaware.
I mean, my parents would have minded, but also there was no mainstream queer media when, you know, like cartoons and shit when I was a kid. So
I always say the first interaction that I had with queer media and different sexuality and identifying as a different gender is our king, Rick Riordan.
Okay. See, I was not a Percy Jackson kid, so...
Percy Jackson is the best. This is not about that, but he did a Shondaland. He got a series that has a white male lead. It got popular, and he was like, so you will print anything I write now. And then we get gay representation. We get bi representation. We get a gender fluid character. We have deaf characters. And he's just expanded his universe because he started it so that his children with ADHD would have someone they could look up to. Yeah. And then he's just like, why can't everybody have someone they can look up to? Representation. So,
but yeah, I mean, so it wasn't around when we were kids, and I feel like the first sort of things I had access to that had queer characters in them were books that I was reading that, for all my parents' like conservative Catholic upbringing things, they didn't super police what I was reading, and we were a very like book-oriented family. They didn't read the stuff that I was reading before, so like my mom totally handed me a copy of, like, we were at the library, she was just like picking out books to bring home. I think I wasn't with her or something. She picked out a copy of one of Tamara Pierce's books, which got me onto my favorite author of all time, Tamara Pierce. Read her books.
I've never heard of her.
Oh. Well, I was going to present about it last weekend, but I didn't because I didn't think that anybody knew who Tamara Pierce was. But anyway, she was writing books I think she started publishing in like the 80s, but like by the time I was reading it, I was probably in middle school, so like 2000s. She was writing books with, it's like female, like usually white heterosexual female leads, but there's a cast of characters who are diverse in a variety of ways.
I love that.
So it's like one of the first series of hers that I read has like there's a like a drag queen-esque character who is gender fluid and is in a relationship with a man, but is like man by birth or whatever. So like, then you get, because I was like, oh, I've never seen a gay couple before. But they were gender fluid, so it's not exactly accurate, but it was the first time I'd seen it. And she's got, like, racial, gender diverse pairings.
To your
First
point,
lesbian relationship I saw also is in that series.
To your point exactly, it's like, you're right, that is not exactly what that relationship was, but when you've never been introduced to it before, like, gender fluid, when they do identify as male.
Well, and for the purposes of that universe, they were identifying as a male, like, publicly, and then doing the drag queen thing on the side as an alternate identity. Because her universe was still taking into account, like, homophobia and stuff.
Which is fair.
Yeah, or transphobia at that point. But anyway, that stuff did not exist, and so I was only getting it out of books or whatever, and it wasn't until, like, post-college, post-I'd come out, etc., that I started even, like, seeking out queer media. And then, as we were talking about, like, a lot of it is MLM.
Hades, like, kind of wants to join you.
Oh, do you want to come over here, buddy?
You want to come in the video, Hades?
Do you want to come be on my lap?
He's like, you can
Maybe.
pet me. He's like, I want pets.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
No,
and then
bye.
we heard Nike.
I have to go play with my sister.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just, like, saw him, like,
oh. Wants your love. Yeah. But, yeah, so it didn't exist, and then when I started seeking it out, it was a lot of, at that point, it was like, 2014 to now, there was stuff starting to come out, but most of what was, like, mainstream was, like, MLM. So in order to find the sapphic stuff, I was seeking it out. And I think we've seen it move a lot in recent years, especially in books, because there's a ton, like, there's plenty of sapphic romance, or, like, because I read fantasy, not necessarily romance, but sapphic fantasy, sapphic romantasy, like, that has kind of exploded, and it's exploded in books, I think, which are, like, less visible.
I think we see it first. I think the same thing happened with MLM. We see it in fan fiction first. Let's be completely real. Fan fiction is always where we're going to get something first. And then we saw it in books, because things like Heated Rivalry
are books first.
They're books first, and they've been books for a long time. Normally, you can come on. Come on, buddy. He's like, I just lived to interrupt you guys. Such a man.
I just want to think about it.
He's like, there we go. That's my cameo. And then we see from book to TV or movie,
because it gets popular. It gets enough of a popularity hit off of the book that then they're like, oh, we can make money off of this.
We can make money off of it.
That's the main thing that's driving this, is like, can we make money off of it?
Yes, we live in a consumeristic world.
Yes. So, like, there are sapphic Regency TV shows and movies out there. I have watched them. Some of them are good. Some of them are not that good, but I'm going to watch it anyway. But I can't think of another one that has the potential to be as mainstream as this season of Bridgerton. Because Bridgerton was like, it's the #1 show on Netflix every time it comes out in a season.
Every time.
So I don't think anything has been like that.
I don't think so either. Maybe Stranger Things, but that's just another Netflix one.
Yeah, and like, it's Netflix, and like, that's not the main point of the show.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah. Like, this is on paper and being advertised as a sapphic Regency romance. Yeah. And with a happy ending.
With a happy ending.
Which is another thing that I could get on a soapbox about, but we are not used to sapphic romances having a happy ending on television, period. Because it wasn't okay back in the day. Like, that's a whole side thing that I've gotten down, is like, in order to show any kind of queer romance back in the day, it had to end in tragedy. Yeah. Like, you could show them being happy during the relationship, but they had to, like, basically have, like, a comeuppance for their sins, and it had to end in tragedy. But we know that this is going to end well, because it's Bridgerton, and that's the premise.
We've already had the tragedy, and it was, the man and woman romance.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and they got to have their happy too. Like,
they got to have their happy too.
And she gets to be happy out of it. Yeah.
But we did experience that tragedy, and now we can have a happily ever after.
Yeah. And what's wrong with that?
Nothing. It's great.
So I'm basically just excited. Yes, am I upset that we're going to have to wait another season for Eloise? Because I do love her. But she's not ready to be married yet.
No, she is not ready to settle down.
She's like just come around to the idea that marriage isn't necessarily a terrible burden.
And to your point earlier, Benedict's season was only like 50% his romance. I could totally see in season 5 we start getting a little bit more of Eloise kind of being ready, and maybe she, again, spoiler alert, maybe she starts writing her letters to Philip. Because that's how their romance starts.
Right, and if you're gonna, like, start this, like, they'd either have to, like, speed it up during her season or have the letters have already started.
Exactly.
Which is the same thing they did with Francesca, of having her be with John for a season.
Yes.
To establish it on the show.
So.
There's no reason they couldn't. And we've got Gregory and Hyacinth, like, both also coming.
Yeah, doing their shenanigans.
Yeah.
But all that to say, if you are an Eloise fan, like the two of us, you're still gonna see Eloise. She's been a main character in every single season, and you could argue that she is the main character of Bridgerton because she's the only one who's consistently in most episodes of the season.
Oh my goodness.
Chosen.
Hi. Yes, ma'am.
And what do you think of this, Artie?
Oh, I feel so honored. Thank you. You usually just hiss at me. Yeah. Tell me about it. Okay, back to Mom.
Hi. You gonna help us close out the video?
Yeah, I'm gonna settle in.
Yeah.
We'll do the outro with the kitten.
Kitten outro? Yeah.
Maybe.
I like how the other two cats who are off screen both turned when we said kitten outro.
Anybody else? No?
No.
Okay.
Everyone else is comfy. But yeah, we are both excited. I hope that everyone is excited for it. It's going to be a great romance.
I also hope that it doesn't take 2 years to come out this time. Which I think that they promised that it's not going to.
I think they promised it's just going to be a year now.
Yeah.
And you know what? Do I like that it's going to be a year? No. But when I've had the experience of waiting 2 years, I will take the year.
Yeah.
I'll take the year. So thank you if you've made it this far in the video. Thank you for hanging out with us. If you're also excited for the Bridgerton series, share your thoughts down below as long as they are not mean comments. We don't stand that on the Cozy Cat Reader channel.
And if you have sapphic romance recs, put them in the comments
there
for other people.
You are entitled to your opinion, but you are also supposed to be respectful about them. And I feel like we've been pretty respectful. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Don't be mean.
Don't be mean. Why be mean when we could all be nice and enjoy reading and cats? So until next Tuesday, I hope that you are reading great books. I hope that you're watching great things inspired by great books. If you haven't seen Project Hail Mary yet, go see it. It is so good. I was personally crying in the movie theater. I was crying in the club at this movie, at this space movie. But yeah, we will be back in April. So, bye.